Recording. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this specific training, this lesson. I'm pretty excited to have this lesson and have this training. I know many of you that are part of this program specifically want to learn more about scholarships, merit scholarships. You want to find out different ways and opportunities to make college more affordable for your family, for your student, and rightfully so. So, in this particular training, we are going right to merit scholarships and talking about just that. We're going to take a deep dive, as the title, as the name implies, talking about merit scholarships. And I know many of you love to hear me speak, but in this particular training, I'm going to yield to a person, a friend who I think is a lot more intelligent, a lot smarter than I am, especially on the subject. And I pride myself and this particular program at bringing you some of the experts in specific fields and specific areas that I think you are better off learning from, and for many different ways. So without further ado, I have a good friend of mine and Wendy Nelson here joining this particular meeting. And she's going to go into her lesson and her training about merit scholarships. And just to tell you a little bit about Wendy, she is the founder of the My Kids College Choice and Merit Scholarship List. These are websites that have served many people, many families over the last several years. Very valuable information, very up-to-date information. And recently, she joined College Aid Pro as a senior data scientist and advisor. So that means she's pretty important and she has a lot of value to bring to the table. Her passion is helping families who typically won't qualify for need-based financial aid and help them find merit scholarships to make college more affordable. So without, once again, further ado, I'd like to kind of throw the ball to Wendy and let her kind of take it from here. Wendy, are you with me?
Yes. Thanks, Josh. And welcome everyone to the Merit Scholarship Deep Dive Training. So I'm like probably many of you, when we started our college search journey, it's about 10 years ago now with my oldest daughter, I panicked over our EFC, our expected family contribution, and realized way too late how much college costs these days. I hadn't looked at that since back when I was in college, and boy, inflation really did a number on the cost of college. And so as we started thinking about college for my oldest daughter, I started looking for options to make it more affordable and really struggled to balance our desire for a great school for her. She was a really good student against our need for something affordable. So we ended up using merit scholarships and some other strategies to get our three girls through college debt-free, which is really my goal for everyone, is figure out how to make it debt-free. And I know Josh shares my passion for that topic. And so hopefully by telling you some tips and some good info about merit scholarships here, we can help you to do just that, make college more affordable. So what are we going to cover in this training? We're going to cover some basics about merit scholarships just to make sure everyone understands what we're talking about. And I want to introduce you to my 5-step merit scholarship framework. We'll go through that one step at a time. And then we'll also talk about some resources and some tools to help you in your journey. So let's get started. The merit scholarship framework is a 5-step concept that I came up with a few years ago just to really put it into a system of what are the steps that you should take when you are interested in trying to use merit scholarships to make college more affordable. So the first step is about understanding merit scholarships. Second step is determining your student's merit aid profile. We'll talk about what that is and how to do that. Then you need to find good fit colleges. We'll talk about the 3 types of fit. And as well, we want to find good fit merit scholarships. And then at the end of the process, you can supplement with private scholarships. So we'll talk about those in our last step. So let's get started with step one. Step one is all about understanding merit scholarships. So what are merit scholarships? They're really scholarships that are based on a student's merit, not financial need. Colleges are offering these merit scholarships really as tuition discounts. So instead of that sticker price that they're showing you, they're going to say, hey, you're a good student, so we're going to knock some money off the sticker price. Colleges themselves are the biggest source of scholarship money out there. And merit can relate more than just test scores and a student's GPA. It can get into things like leadership, service, character, talent. We'll talk about a few other aspects that merit scholarships can be based on as well. Sources of merit scholarships. I really look at three sources. There are the states, really primarily the state you live in or the state you may be looking to go to college in. And then there are private sources of scholarships like foundations, businesses, clubs, other types of organizations, and the colleges themselves. So let's talk about all three of those. As you are looking at state merit scholarships, there are a few things you need to know. These can vary from hundreds of dollars up to a full ride in some cases, depending on the state. These are really very different state by state. In fact, there are some states that you will not find any state merit scholarships, others that have extremely generous programs. These programs are often dependent on the state budgets. So if budget cuts come along, the merit scholarship program could get axed. States do often also have need-based scholarship programs, but the ones that I'm focusing on talking about here are really the merit-based ones. They may say every student who is a citizen of Georgia is eligible for this particular amount if they have maybe this GPA or this ACT, SAT score. So it's things like that. And sometimes there's a component of these state scholarships that are matched by specific colleges in that state. So the college may say any student who qualifies for this state scholarship program will also be eligible for this scholarship that we are offering if they choose our college. And some of these state merit scholarship programs may require you to file the FAFSA. The FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid, is really tied to need-based aid, but there are cases where it would also be required for merit scholarships, and state scholarships could be one of those. You just have to look into a state's specific requirements. Now, how do you find state merit aid? Your state should have a website devoted to this, devoted to different scholarships and things like that, if they have those. Also, your public universities in your state may list these state scholarships under their financial aid section. There is also a site called the National Association of Student Financial Aid Administrators, or NASFA for short, that you can go to, and it has a map of the United States, and you can click on a state and explore the different programs that that state offers. So that's a great resource to use to see if your state offers something that your student will qualify for. All right, then let's talk about private merit aid. These are private scholarships. These are the scholarships that most people think of when they think of scholarships for college. There are lots of large nationally or internationally advertised scholarship programs that are very competitive, like Coca-Cola Scholars. There's like a Foot Locker scholarship. There are all kinds of different private scholarship programs out there. With private scholarships, these are really about the law of averages. What I mean there is the more you apply for, the more likely you are to win one. Local scholarships are the easiest ones to win because when it's something that's only offered to, say, students from your high school or students who live in your town, the pool of candidates is going to be so much smaller than these huge scholarship programs. So your odds are so much better. It's really a time investment when you're looking to apply to private merit scholarships because there are a lot of applications, like I said, law of averages. So you're going to want to do a lot of applications for scholarships you qualify for. You're going to need to put in time to make sure you are meeting the requirements for each of those. They might all have different essays needed or different things you need to do to be qualified for the scholarship. So you have to be willing to invest the time. These are usually one-time awards that are not renewable every year. So it might be a $10,000 scholarship, but that's only one time. So you're going to get that $10,000, apply it to your bill for college that year or the first year if you're still in high school. And then you're not going to get another $10,000 unless you apply for more scholarships. There are private scholarships available to current college students, so you can continue to apply for scholarships throughout college. And sometimes you can reapply to the same scholarship each year. Two of my daughters applied for scholarships through the Rotary Foundation. These were scholarships that were open to current college students. And I think one of them won it 3 years in a row, and one of them won it 2 years in a row because it was a local scholarship, small number of applicants. They were looking for the applicants that could really talk about their success in their college programs. And so then they were selected, year after year, which was great because then that was money coming in each year from that. How do you find private merit scholarships? Oftentimes, your high school counseling office will maintain a list of scholarships, and those are usually focused on those local scholarships offered just to your high school or just to your community or maybe the county or something, something more local. Local newspapers, if anybody's still getting actual paper newspapers, these will usually have scholarship deadlines in them. They'll do a press release about a scholarship coming up, and here's the deadline, and here's how you apply. Really, in those really local, like small town type newspapers, not the huge ones. Organization websites, so things like the Rotary Foundation. If you go to their website, you can see a link for scholarships, and other types of organizations would have the same thing. Google searches are great for finding private scholarships. I tell people, make Google your friend. You can search scholarships for tall people, scholarships for redheads, scholarships for runners, whatever it is, search it, and I guarantee you'll find some results. And there are many lists available online. So college-related websites often have scholarship lists. There are several scholarship search sites out there. Even Pinterest has lists of scholarships. It is a time investment just finding scholarships you will qualify for also. So not super easy to narrow in on the ones that apply. But if you're willing to put in the time, it can be a good source of supplemental money. As I mentioned in the very beginning, the largest source of merit-based aid is the colleges themselves, and sometimes this is referred to as institutional merit aid. So what do you need to know about the merit scholarships that colleges offer themselves? These can range in amount from a few $100s up to a full ride plus. And by plus, I mean they may throw in a stipend for travel, study abroad, or maybe throw in a laptop. There are all kinds of different things that those top scholarship programs will offer at the college. These can be 1 year only or renewable. The majority of scholarships offered by colleges are renewable, and usually those require a minimum GPA to renew. So you might have to have a 3.5 GPA in college to keep getting that scholarship every year. So you want to make sure that your student knows the renewal requirements, because it's really great to know you're going in with a $25,000 a year scholarship, but make sure they're keeping track of that and are on top of that renewal requirement so that they don't lose out on that renewal. It may be an automatic scholarship or a competitive scholarship. We'll talk a little more about those categories in a minute. And these are often used, as I said before, as a tuition discount so that you are not paying full price. So they may be extremely generous with merit scholarships, and it's really because they're using it as a discount, much like how a clothing store would give you a discount so that you're not paying that full price on their clothing. If a scholarship is stated as an amount per year, then that amount doesn't increase as tuition increases. So this is an important point to be aware of, because if you're getting a $25,000 scholarship and tuition at that college goes up, say 3 to 5% every year, that $25,000 is worth a little less off of tuition every year. However, if they say this is a half tuition scholarship and it's really stated that way, then that's going to keep up with whatever half tuition is. So how do you find institutional merit aid? You can go to college websites. You can go through them one by one. You can search around to find the page that has the merit scholarship information and see what they're offering. You can also find some lists of merit scholarships on college-related websites. Or you can use a tool that will help you find the best scholarships for merit aid. And that's one thing that's great about College Aid Pro, the organization that I work for, is that we just launched this tool called MyCap. It is a tool that will help you find those schools that will offer the best merit aid, as well as need-based aid. It will really show you that whole net price picture across the colleges that you're interested in looking at. So let's talk a little bit about the types of merit scholarships. I mentioned automatic and competitive scholarships. There are also talent scholarships and scholarships that are based on the National Merit and Hispanic Recognition Program, and that is through the PSAT test. So we'll talk a little more about that. Automatic scholarships. These are usually based on GPA and ACT or SAT scores. Now, over the past few years, schools have been getting away from requiring ACT and SAT scores as much for admissions and also for merit scholarship eligibility. So a lot of schools are only basing the merit scholarship on the GPA. So this can be good if your student has a really good GPA. Sometimes it's optional. The test scores are optional to be considered for merit as well as for admissions. So then it's kind of up to you, up to the family to decide, should these test scores be submitted or not? And a lot of times the tools will help you to see, am I going to get a better merit scholarship if I submit test scores or if I don't submit test scores? There are also automatic scholarships for valedictorians and salutatorians. If the student is first or second in their high school graduating class, they may be able to get a great scholarship from certain colleges just for having that class rank. And in general, there are also automatic scholarships that consider class rank overall. Are you in the top 5%, 10%, 20%? Sometimes that will influence the amount that that school is going to offer you. automatic scholarships are not always just for the top students. And that's really to go along with what I said before, that these scholarships are being used as tuition discounts. So sometimes you don't have to have a really great GPA or test score to get a pretty good amount knocked off of the sticker price. These are often shown in a table or a grid on the school's website when they're automatic. They'll just list it out for you. And they may also be included in the school's net price calculator. Net price calculators on the college websites are a great tool. I'll talk about them a little more as we move forward. Our MyCap tool will estimate a student's eligibility for automatic scholarships at every college. You can do that according to whatever type of search, if you want to search by how far the distance the school is from home, or just search across the country for the best merit scholarships available. However you do it, we can show you what you would be qualified for at that college based on your statistics. Next type of merit scholarship to talk about is competitive. Competitive merit scholarships are the ones that are not given to everyone who meets specific criteria. These are somehow competitive. They may or may not require a separate application, but either way, students are going to be selected to receive the scholarship. So you kind of go in not knowing for sure if you're going to get a scholarship or how big of a scholarship you're going to get. That's the main difference between automatic and competitive. Automatic, you know, when you're applying to that school, hey, I qualify for this. Whereas competitive, you don't really know. There may be an application or a competition, and the school may tell you how many scholarships are given out, or they might not disclose that at all. Also with amounts, they might disclose on their website what the amounts of these scholarships are, or they might just not. They might just say, we offer merit scholarships to applicants, and we will review your application to see if you qualify. Private scholarships are always competitive. You're never just walking into a private scholarship and they're just handing out money. They are always deciding who gets the money and who doesn't. Let's talk a little bit about talent scholarships. So these are primarily awarded for talent in art, music, dance, and theater, although there are a few other categories out there that are less frequent. These may require an audition or a portfolio submission if it's in the art realm. Most of the talent scholarships require a student to major in that area, but a few don't. A few say anyone with artistic talent can apply for this scholarship, or musical talent, or if you're willing to join a music ensemble on campus, we have scholarships to offer. And most talent scholarships are in variable amounts instead of a published amount. So what I mean there is not that many colleges will tell you how big those talent scholarships are. So you have to ask some questions. All right, and the last category I want to talk about is the National Merit and Hispanic Recognition Scholarships. So these are based on the results of the PSAT and MSQT test that is taken junior year. And these scholarships are offered to finalists and semifinalists in this PSAT competition, and sometimes the students, the commended students, that's like the first tier of students that move toward semifinalist and finalist. These are usually requiring that the student lists the school as their top choice through the National Merit Competition. So the college themselves are offering this scholarship if you're listing on your National Merit Competition application their college as your top choice. And if you were in that situation, you would know that you had to do that. in our database of scholarships, we have over 300 that are in this category, National Merit Hispanic Recognition Scholarships. You can go to nationalmerit.org to learn more about the National Merit Program and the PSAT and MSQT test. All right, so let's talk about step 2. This is about determining your student's merit aid profile. Your student's merit aid profile will be based on things like their GPA. A 3.0 is a good GPA for scholarships. A 3.5 or higher is better. ACT and SAT score in many cases. And if you're above the school's mid 50% test scores, that's the best for merit scholarships. These can be based on your student's talents, your student's leadership experience, things like community service, ethnicity, their religion, race, geographic location. Are you in a specific city, state, county, high school? It varies a lot. Or legacy status. Sometimes just having a parent or a grandparent who went to the same college can help you to get scholarship money. So this is a look at really the frequency of these things and how they come into the scholarships. So you can see the biggest bubbles: grades, test scores, talents, leadership's pretty large, and then they get smaller as we get into some of those other topics, meaning those are less frequent in the merit scholarship world, but you could find some scholarships related. So a little more about test scores and GPA. The schools often publish a mid 50% ACT. So if they're mid 50% range, or SAT, I used ACT for this example, if their range that they publish is 22 to 28 and your student is a 28 or higher, that's going to make your student more likely to qualify for merit scholarships, and the higher the better. And then they often also publish a median GPA. If your student is above that, then that increases the likelihood of merit scholarships as well. And higher GPA often equates to higher scholarship. You want to have an activity resume. This is useful for both college applications and scholarship applications. That would be those competitive scholarships. So this will include your students' work experience, school activities, honors and awards, community service, and anything else you think is relevant. I do have a template on the My Kids College Choice site on the resources page that you can pick up. And so that way you're not starting from scratch. You can just download that off the page. So how do you increase your chances of merit scholarships? We often talk about a student having a hook. A hook is something that's going to really compel a school or a scholarship competition to award that student the scholarship. So maybe it was they started a club or a nonprofit organization, or they have a really high GPA, really high ACT, SAT, maybe a really strong talent, something like that that's going to make the student stand out against other candidates. Also being in the top 25% of applicants, that goes back to the page where I showed the GPA and test score averages. If they're above those averages, that's going to put them in the top 25%. Having a good essay or personal statement will be critical for being awarded the competitive scholarships. You always need to follow directions exactly. If a scholarship says 500-word essay, don't go over 500 words. Also proofreading, make sure somebody proofreads the application because you don't want any grammar, spelling, typos, anything like that, any of those errors to disqualify an application. When they are getting hundreds or thousands of applications for a specific scholarship, they're looking for anything that they could use to throw that one out so that it's one less to consider. Also, you could get professional coaching. There are plenty of services offering to help with the process of writing a good essay. There's some great sites online that will help you with that. And just understanding what some of the scholarships are looking for. So what if it's looking like your student does not have a good merit hook? First of all, I always tell people, don't assume that a less than stellar test score or GPA won't be worth merit money. Check first. So the database of college merit scholarships, those would be the ones offered directly by colleges that I have maintained for the last several years. That's really the data behind our College Aid Pro tools on the merit side. Last time I ran the numbers, there were over 880 that required an ACT score of 22 or less, 374 that required an SAT score of 1,000 or less, and 577 scholarships requiring a GPA below 3.0. So see, they are out there for those lower ACT, SAT, and GPAs. All right, so I have some homework for you on this site, on this step. You will find the Merit Aid Profile worksheet on the site, and you can complete that. That's going to help you really look at what qualifies this student for merit aid. So let's talk about step 3, finding good fit colleges. I like to break it into the college fit triangle. So we have 3 types of fit: financial fit, academic fit, and personal fit. And we're really primarily focused on financial fit here, but the other 2 are also important. So you do want to know if you're going to qualify for need-based aid. That is based on what is called your expected family contribution, or EFC. Schools are primarily using the FAFSA to calculate the EFC. Some schools use what's called the CSS profile. That's a more invasive look at your family's financial profile, asks a lot more questions, digs in deeper into your finances. And then some colleges use their own calculation. This is referred to as an institutional methodology. They decide how they want to determine your expected family contribution. The major drivers of your expected family contribution will be parent income. That's a huge one. Colleges expect parents to contribute up to 47% of your net income per year. That's a crazy amount. Nobody's going to have 47% of net income just waiting set aside for college. But that's kind of an extreme case. Another piece that will figure in will be the number of kids in college at the same time. So any year that you have more than one undergrad in college will lower your expected family contribution. So you want to make sure you look at all 4 years of college to see what does that full 4-year picture look like. So that's something that's been very important to us at College Aid Pro. Don't just show people that one first year of college. Make sure they're seeing this is how much that college is going to cost you over the full 4 years. We referred to net price calculators earlier. This will be an early estimate of what the college will cost you. And I mentioned before, the best ones include merit aid as well as need-based aid. Many will allow you to plug in an expected family contribution number. If you already know that from FAFSA, you can plug that in there. And my process is to go through a variety of different net price calculators, starting with your local type of in-state school, more like a regional campus, looking at your state's flagship university, looking at an out-of-state public university, different types of private colleges, and really seeing how does your net price change and your expected family contribution change between those different types of colleges. So that will be part of the next homework assignment. As far as finding a good financial fit, you need to understand if you qualify for need-based aid. You want to find schools generous with merit aid for students without need if you don't qualify for need-based aid. You want to, again, be in the top 25% of applicants to maximize your chance of merit aid. And you want to look at both sides, both need and merit, to find schools with the overall lowest net price. So you can really focus in on that net price number. Really, when you look at families across the board, you're going to find that about 25% will qualify for full need-based aid at a school, especially an expensive private college. About 50% will be partial need, like we'll give you some need-based aid, but not pay for your full tuition. And then about 25% will not have will be determined not to qualify for need-based aid and will really have to rely solely on merit aid. So that partial need category, you can kind of take advantage of both need and merit, hopefully, to get a good amount. But yeah, the ones on this right side will not be eligible for need-based aid and will only be looking for merit aid. So the homework, as I mentioned, will be to complete the net price calculator worksheet. This is going to help you look at that net price across different types of colleges like I talked about. All right, so then let's talk about academic fit briefly. So when you're looking at academic fit, you really want to see what majors does the school offer? Does the school offer something that your student is interested in? Is your student sure they want to major in a specific thing? We know that may change somewhere along the line in college, but let's at least hone in on schools that offer that specific major to begin with. How selective of a college does your student need? Are they really looking to be challenged and they need that level of academic rigor that a highly selective school is going to provide? Or are they looking for something that's just, okay, I can deal with this. Maybe I can easily play sports and take my classes at the same time, or I can work and take classes and it's not going to be too hard to juggle all of that. And what are the opportunities that it provides? What are the opportunities your student is looking for? Things like internships or co-op programs, honors programs, study abroad opportunities. Some of these undergrad, grad type programs like a 4-1 or a 3-2 program where you can come out in 5 years with both a bachelor's and a master's. Or does your student want research opportunities? Whatever opportunities they're looking for, try to match that with the colleges, with what they're offering. And then personal fit. This can include things like size. Is your student really comfortable at a small school, or do they need a large school with lots of different things to offer? What about location? Are they partial to specific types of locations? Rural, city, suburb, or is it based on weather, where you are in the country, how far it is from home, things like that. What are the housing options offered? What types of transportation options? If they don't have a car, how are they going to get around? And then the types of activities that are offered, and just making sure that they have those opportunities, social or sports types of opportunities outside of the classroom. Right, and then we want to also make sure we know who is getting merit aid and how much, if we're in the merit aid category, as we talked about before. So I want to recommend a couple sources for you here. This will help you with all of these different fit characteristics, but we want to, again, hone in on the financial fit, but you can get some of the other details on these sites as well. So collegedata.com and College Navigator are two college search sites that will give you a lot of the data, a lot of the statistics. College Data is actually better for merit aid statistics, and College Navigator will give you net price statistics, but they don't separate out those statistics between merit aid and need-based aid. So if you're really focused on merit only, I would use College Data as your source. So homework in this step is to use College Data or College Navigator to find 5 colleges that look like a good financial fit. You can look at all those different financial statistics and based on what we've talked about so far and say, yep, this looks like it would be a good fit for us. All right, and now we are down to step 4, which is about finding good fit merit scholarships. So you've found, or you're in the process of finding good fit schools, but now you have to see what are they offering from a merit standpoint. So this is really the show me the money step. We want to look for generous schools that give a lot of merit aid. We want to find schools that offer the best listed scholarships. Those are the ones that they're going to actually publish and put out there and say, this is what we offer, and this is how you will qualify for that. And you can use your merit aid profile that you created in the prior step 2, to use it as a guide for finding these good fit scholarships. So again, if you want to find scholarships, you can look them up on scholarships, on individual college websites. If you know specific colleges you want to look for, my advice to you would be, don't limit yourself to the schools you can think of to look at. So you want to use some type of tool that will help you look more broadly to find schools that offer the best listed merit scholarships according to your students' qualifications. Homework step. So this one is definitely optional. You can go out and register for the MyCap site for free and pick 3 colleges to compare. And that will show you the full net price of those 3 colleges and how it compares. You know, how much merit aid is each school awarding based on your students' statistics, and are you eligible for need-based aid at any of those schools? And it will give you a lot of other good data points to compare those schools. All right, final step. We're in the home stretch. So this one is about supplementing with private scholarships. So it's really all about finding those affordable schools to begin with, and then you're probably still going to want to supplement to get a little more money in scholarships if you can, so that you're reducing that bill even more. One thing you have to know about is called scholarship displacement. So what this is how does a particular college treat outside scholarships or private scholarships? So many colleges will displace need-based aid according to private scholarships that the student earns. So basically they're going to say, all right, this student qualifies for, say, $20,000 in need-based aid based on the calculation that we're using. Then they're going to ask you to disclose any private scholarships you're getting. So maybe you are walking in with $15,000 in private scholarships for that first year. So they were going to give you $20,000 based on need. You've got $15,000 sitting in your hand, basically. So difference of $5,000. Now they're going to say, instead of giving you 20, we take away 15,000 of need and only give you 5. So you're coming out even. You're not getting the 20,000 plus the 15. You're getting your 20 reduced so that you're still only getting 20. So many families would say it's not really worth it to go after, to do all the work for those private scholarships if they're just going to take away some of my need-based aid. So it's something you definitely have to look at. Many colleges will do that, and some colleges will say, you know what, we don't discount your aid at all for something that you're bringing in from private scholarships. So you have to research the individual schools. In some cases, they may ask you up front before they even tell you how much merit aid you qualify for. Are you bringing in any large private scholarships? If you can't find information on the school's website that talks about this specific topic, you want to ask the financial aid office, or ask the admissions counselor that your student is talking to at that school, maybe, and they can help steer you to someone who can answer that question. Private scholarship tips, we did touch on some of these already, that you want to spend your time on local scholarships, the majority of your time. It's okay to apply for those large, highly competitive scholarship programs, but just don't spend tons of time hoping for those. Make sure your student asks for recommendation letters early. So many of the local scholarship programs will want recommendation letters from teachers, sometimes even from community members, somebody that your student knows well in the community. So they need to go after those early in the process so that they can keep on top of those scholarship deadlines. Again, make sure someone proofreads everything in the application. Make sure your student follows instructions exactly. Everything they ask for or tell you to do in that scholarship application needs to be followed. And then use a calendar or a spreadsheet to track the dates and the requirements for these different scholarship programs. It's going to get really difficult when you find a whole bunch of scholarships for your student to apply to, just to keep track of what's different, what does each one of these need us to submit, and when are they due? Because really across the year, there are going to be scholarship deadlines pretty much every month, and you can spend a lot of time every month in this process, but you want to make sure you're not missing out on getting those applications in on time. And then keep applying all the way through the rest of high school, all the way through the college years, and you may get some really good supplemental scholarship money. All right, and I mentioned earlier that you can use Google to find scholarship opportunities. So that is your homework in this step. Go out to Google, think of some things that your student really excels in, or that is a characteristic. Maybe they want to study electrical engineering. You can look for scholarships for electrical engineering, or scholarships for art or whatever it is. Scholarships, I mentioned scholarships for tall people. That's one that's out there. Just get creative and start searching different things that apply, and you might come up with some really interesting scholarship opportunities. All right, so Josh, that is it. That is the end of my lesson. I'll turn it back over to you.
Wow, that is that's value. That's very much valuable. Thank you so much for the information, the homework assignments, guys. Listen, I won't keep you much longer during this particular lesson. But what you may want to do is you may want to take action. One of the objectives behind the lessons and behind the courses is that you have actionable information that you can actually get a transformation for. Understanding what to do, understanding certain important things, and then being able to have action behind it is really the key. Wendy, thank you for being here. I really appreciate having you, guys. You guys don't know this, but she's really hard to pin down. She's become more busy by the day. Her demand has just constantly increased. So I'm really fortunate to have you here and have you a part of this particular program. And a lot of you also may or may not know that Wendy is a part of our private Facebook community. So if you have a specific question and you need some answers, and we do live calls every other Sunday. So maybe you have a question that is more guided towards Wendy and some of the information you just received. Let us know so we can prepare to answer that question and get you what you need. This is not just meant to be informational, but it's also meant, for us to be able to provide you support so you get, you take the right and appropriate actions. So if you need clarity, you need more understanding, a deeper understanding, do not hesitate to reach out. But first and foremost, we're always going to ask, did you watch the lesson and did you take the appropriate actions that you were given? So with that being said, thank you so much, everyone, for being a part of this particular training and lesson. Be on the lookout for the next one to come. And most importantly, thank you, Wendy, for delivering such amazing content and information. I really do appreciate the value you provide and you brought to the table. She is a gem, and not many people know about her, but the ones that do really do take advantage and use the resource and the information that she provides and brings to the table. So I encourage everyone to make it known and mark your calendar or take notes to reach out to her and communicate when you have a question or need specific guidance. So with that being said, thank you all, and we will talk to you on the next lesson.